do something without hairs or without feathers even, and it's actually one that I found in my room. I think it was all the second day, and most of you know that I'm really crazy about birds, but it's not just birds. I really like all the smaller stuff, the insects and the reptiles and all that kind of thing. And as far as reptiles go, I must say I'm probably particularly fond of geckos. I find them fascinating, the way they walk up walls, the way they even stick to ceilings just upside down. And there's a lot of interesting even physics behind that, which I won't go into now. But actually, if just one thing, if let's say a human would have the same structure on its hand as a gecko has on its feet, Spider-Man would be without a job, because I could put my hand on the ceiling like this, and that would be enough to stick, just to carry my whole body weight. Just the structure of the feet of the gecko. It's fascinating stuff. But yeah, that would go too far to go into now. I'm just going to show you the little house gecko. As I moved some boxes that I had brought, then yeah, there certainly it was. It's a nocturnal animal, but that I saw it during the day was because I moved some of my boxes and it had hidden in a dark spot that certainly was exposed. It's a small little gecko. I must go this way. It's probably about this size. It fits easily in my hand, and I managed to catch it quite easily. Actually, there's a little trick to it, and then they're pretty relaxed once you put them in your hand and give them open. So that gave us a chance to take a nice little picture of the gecko. Look how beautiful it is. I really love that. You can't really see the feet here, but I'm sure I'm going to get some nice pictures of that in the future. But also look at its eye. It's got a vertical slit. At some point, Graham, couple of weeks ago or last week, he put up a new eye, the logo for WildEarth TV, and that was actually the eye of this little fellow or this little gal over here. They typically lay 2 eggs, and yeah, I said I was not going to go too much into statistics, so I'm not gonna do that, because whether 2 eggs or 3 eggs is actually not that important. It's just a wonderful little animal. Now, I also mentioned in my introduction that I was going to start the vervet monkeys, but with all the things going on this week and the monkeys, they've been fairly absent actually. I don't know, maybe because there were so many people at the camp, because they typically look for times when it is a bit more quiet so they can have a raid at the kitchen if they get a chance. So I haven't seen too much of them. So rather than just have one picture and talk about them for a long time, I'm going to keep that for a later episode. Just want to say one thing. There was a question coming in before the show from Afrimu, as a handle sounds. And she says, is there a dangerous animal in the camp, or what animal is the most as a pest, if you would call it like that? Now, I don't think we consider any animal a pest in the camp, because they're just as much as part of life here as we are. They can sometimes be a nuisance, I would say. It's a bit of a play on words maybe, but yeah, we need to really keep our kitchen door closed very tightly, because even if the kitchen is unmanned for 10-20 seconds then, and they're out there, especially around breakfast time, because they know then the kitchen door is open and people walk in and out, they're always on guard. And I would say twice a week they do manage to steal an apple or to steal an egg or anything like that. But yeah, I guess sometimes it's also part of the fun. It's a bit, yeah. Hey, who left the kitchen door open and the monkey came out? But no, I don't think we have any animals that we would consider a nuisance here, other than maybe what Peter described, the mosquitoes. But yeah, they can be quite irritating at night. But just other than that, and no nuisance animal, no pests, and I would also say no dangerous animals. Yes, Karula comes through camp once in a while, but we haven't seen her. It's mostly at night when we are sleeping anyway, and probably if somebody would walk out when she was in camp, she would hear us a lot sooner than we would notice her and just be off. So that's probably also why we haven't seen her yet. But one of these days we will. Yeah. Anyway, just one little picture. Vervet monkey sitting on a post, waiting for the kitchen door to open and be unmanned. Yeah, so I said as I'll come back to vervet monkeys sometime in the future. Now, one of the other stars, and actually I'm still thinking about this because I learned something very interesting about this bird as I was doing my research yesterday and today. Something that I was completely unaware of, and it's fascinating me. I'm still trying to get my mind around that. That's actually the thing. I'm not going to tell you what it is, because I think that deserves a place in something, in an episode where we can give it more attention. But even without that, there's enough interesting things to tell about the woodpecker. Bennett's woodpecker is one of 4 woodpeckers that do occur in this area, and they all have a similar look, in the sense you can distinguish them, but they look similar. They all have, let me just show a picture of the woodpecker, just out of interest. They all have this, I can't, let me just use the mouse to point it out. To some extent this reddish crown, reddish and black, and some animals, like the males, often have a completely red crown. A greenish with white spotted back, and then the front is either streaked or spotted or a little other pattern. But just as a general gist, to use that word from last time, the general impression of shape and size, they look fairly similar. So you must have a really good look to be able to determine which one it is. You can see it's a Bennett's woodpecker because the front is spots where other woodpeckers often have bars or stripes on them. So this clearly is a Bennett's. You can see it's a female because the cap over the head is half red and half black, whereas with the male it would be completely red. That would be a male Bennett's woodpecker. Now woodpeckers, other than identifying them, this is quite an interesting thing, because what everybody knows and what the name comes from, woodpecker, they tap the wood with quite a big force, and how do their heads, don't they get a headache or something like that? Well, the thing with woodpeckers is actually the whole structure of especially the head and the neck is designed for their lifestyle, which means that once they pack their brain is so tightly packed in their skull and over a large area in the front like this, that actually that absorbs the shock to a large extent, and the brain cannot move a little bit in the skull, which means that it can't cause a concussion in that sense. And that's a good thing, because people have calculated at the time that the tip of the beak actually hits the wood, the G-forces on that is sometimes it's about over 100 times the force of gravity, which is 10 times more than even astronauts face and fighter jet pilots face. So, and that 30-40 times a minute for I don't know how long. So that must be a really special construction on that. Other adaptations that they have is that the base of the skull has a special, almost like a shock absorber construction, where it is attached to the bill. There's a little spongy area that also helps in absorbing the vibrations. And that was actually, those are the two. There's another, as I said, interesting fact. Let me see how much I'm going to say about that at the moment. But there's actually, if you listen to woodpeckers, you can hear the staccato tok 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 tok, which is different for each of the species. And they have other adaptations as well to be able to actually chip the wood. I'm going to show you that on the next, or the picture after that. This is a Bennett's woodpecker again. This is one that I photographed. I put it up on the web earlier, just across the fence near the swimming pool.